Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Jon Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank, California. How about that Tom Brady, huh?
Also here, Jon Schnepp.
Was he in one of those movies this weekend?
Yes. Yes.
Are they
Big
remaking
star,
the Brady
big movie
Bunch?
star.
I don't know who this Tom Brady you speak of is.
Also here, Kristian Harloff.
I don't understand why you root for cheaters. I said it.
Also here's Mark Ellis.
Yeah, it was great to watch the Redskins get a win. I was texting with a fellow Redskins fan, Roca, yesterday. It's probably the last civil discourse we will have this week, but we got a win.
Hey, guys, listen, as happens sometimes, a piece of news drops that we weren't prepared for yet, so you don't see it in the sidebar. But a little something interesting about SpiderMan has come up. Ashley, what do we got?
Just because Spider-Man was in Captain America Civil War, that doesn't mean all is well between Sony Pictures and Marvel Studios. Recently, Holland spoke to WWD while promoting his latest film, The Lost City of Z, and said, "My next project I can't tell you about, but we've just finished Spider-Man and we're talking about the second one and who the villain is going to be and where we're going. But what does that mean for other movies in the MCU?" Speaking to Variety, Holland revealed that when it comes to Avengers Infinity War, his involvement is still in question. "It's all up in the air. I believe some sort of deal is in the mix, but I'm unclear as to what that deal is." John, do you think there are issues going on behind the scenes with Spider-Man's inclusion in Infinity War?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I read this, and it's important to note, this isn't like coming out of cosmicmovienews.slash. This isn't coming from this is coming out of Tom Holland's mouth talking to Variety, all right? And when he says, when the cameras are basically already set up and focused, they're ready to shoot this damn movie. And then Tom Holland, the guy who plays Spider-Man, says, it's kind of up in the air right now. Look, let me say this right up top. I don't have a lot of doubt that Spider-Man will appear in Avengers Infinity War. Not a lot of doubt about that. Do I believe there's some doubt? Sure, absolutely there's, especially considering Tom Holland's comments. But I think it behooves everybody that he appear. I think it's best for Marvel to have Spider-Man in Avengers Infinity War. I think it's best for Sony to have Spider-Man in Avengers Infinity War. I think it is best for everybody involved, and I think everybody involved knows that. However, what this does point out, what Tom Holland's comments do highlight again, is that it is never as simple as it first seems. You know, the idea, when you get two giant corporations like a Sony and a Marvel making high-level deals about incredibly profitable and potentially profitable IPs like Spider-Man, the deals are never going to be cut and dry. What this states to me is something I have been saying all along. Sony has a lot more power in this deal than everybody wants to admit. Because when they first announced this deal, which I think was great for Sony and great for Marvel, everybody thought, Marvel's got all the control. And I tried to tell everybody, no, they don't. Sony has all the chips. The movie rights to Spider-Man belongs to them. They own it. And this could get complicated a little bit further down the line. Now, I don't think there's much of a chance that they don't work this out and they get it figured out. But this does highlight to me that the drama surrounding Spider-Man and his relationship to the MCU is not over with. I think this is going to be an ongoing thing. But I do believe every time it comes up, they will resolve it. And I think because Sony's got too much money on the table to make here with Spider-Man's involvement in the MCU. Marvel has already seen that the fans went bananas. Spider-Man was in 2 scenes in Captain America Civil War, and that's all we talk about is how amazing Spider-Man was in those 2 scenes. This is just too important and just too big for them not to work out. But again, it highlights to us as this deal's a lot more complicated than a lot of us wanted to acknowledge or realize. Anyway, Mark, you heard about this morning. What are your thoughts on all this?
John, as the lead investigative journalist at cosmicmovienews.slash, I can tell you that this is something that we expected. This is going to happen when you have 2 different studios with one character that is going to be in both worlds, but it's definitely going to happen. There is no scenario that I can see that Spider-Man is not going to at least have a small part in Infinity War and then maybe a bigger part in the second part of that film, or of the Infinity War Part 2, whatever they're going to call it, in the same way that Wasp is not going to be in the first part, it's going to be in the second part, so maybe that's when you expand it into more characters. But this is what happens. You have to go through contract negotiations. I think that this is as sure of a bet as I was that Tom Cruise was going to be back in another Mission Impossible movie when they were dealing with the contracts. We're like, oh, well, Tom Cruise wants more money, but so we don't know what's going to happen with Mission Impossible. You knew they were going to get it done. You know this deal is going to get it done. Spider-Man's going to be in Infinity War.
Kristian, what do you think about all this?
No offense to both both you guys, but I think you're reading way too much into this thing. I don't feel.
Wait,
any
Tom
threat.
Holland says his words,
He's
not ours.
20
it's
years
up
old.
in the air.
He's 20 years old. How privy to these conversations do you think he is?
He's the actor playing the character.
He's 20 years old. There's no way he gets all the. Of course they're going to use Spider-Man. Of course it's already been set up. There's no way he's not going to show up. He doesn't know all the information yet because the deals are. He is locked into a contract. He is locked into whenever they stick him as Spider-Man, he's got to show up. He doesn't know yet. He knows that he's going to be filming the sequel, and that's it. I am not worried about this whatsoever. There's not. I don't think Marvel or Sony goes into this with. Look, things can happen in deals. Let's not. I'm not going to be naive about that. That something could fall through the cracks. But because the thing that they get into themselves when it's dangerous, is because the fans do have that kind of positive response, it will come out that somebody is causing the problem, whether it be Marvel or Sony, then that's the reason we're not seeing this guy on screen. The fans are going to go crazy. That's what you will. That's where you put yourself in. You better make sure these deals are set already. How many movies? He's going to be in the movie. There's no problem. There's no issue.
Let me ask you a follow-up, though.
Yeah.
Considering Chris Evans, who plays Captain America, he came out and said in a report, like it had to be 3 or 4 months ago, that his schedule is already locked for both the upcoming Avengers movies. He's booked it off. I think they said it was like 6 months that he's booked off. That was months ago. Mm-hmm. So now you have another actor who's playing a key character, Spider-Man, and he doesn't even know if he's saying he doesn't even know if he's in the film. That doesn't set off any flags for you?
No, because there's 2 movies, and I think that the first.
But we're only talking about the first movie,
right?
Yeah.
The first movie, I don't think he's gonna have a big part in. I don't think he's gonna have a huge part in. I think he's gonna do similar to what they did. They'll have the 2 big movies that he had, put him in that one, and then when it's time for the second one, or really wrap things up, or I know it's not a sequel, whatever it might be, the new Avengers. That's when he's gonna be more prevalent.
Schnepp, you're hearing about all this. What's your reaction to it?
Well, as the editor of CosmicSoupToNuts.org, check it out.
You do good work there, by the way.
I do. Thank
Very
you.
good
You know,
work
I
there.
break a lot of scoops. My feeling about this is I'm in both camps. I think, yeah, he's 20 years old. He doesn't know what he's like, I think I'm going to be in this. I'm sure he signed, like, he's going to be Spider-Man for the next 15 whatever Spider-Man appearances, whether it's in Infinity War or Spider-Man 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's Captain America 4, Iron Man 4, whatever he's going to be. If they want him in it, Marvel and Sony will make a deal. That they maybe don't have a deal, or that we don't. That maybe Tom Holland doesn't know about the deal yet. They maybe didn't tell him yet. I'm positive he's going to be in Infinity War. That's how I feel. As like they've got everyone else in Infinity War except Wasp. Why would they leave Spider-Man out? So,
I mean, you wonder if it's less of a contractual issue and it's more of a story issue, as far as like how much screen time does Spider-Man have? How is his storyline going to fit with what Sony is doing independently with their own Spider-Man franchise? So maybe it's just trying to get those 2 to sync up.
I think you may have just hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
Because remember, with Captain America: Civil War, we did find out that Sony had to give final approval on the script before they were able to move forward. Right. What if this is, and again, pure speculation here, what if the holdup here is, that's probably the most likely scenario, that the holdup might be simply the matter of Sony having to approve how much involvement, how important of involvement, how Spider-Man is going to be used in this next film, and maybe that's saying. I really doubt, I think you raised a great point, Kristian. Look, Tom Holland has a contract. I highly doubt the issue here, if there's an issue, I highly doubt that the issue is Tom Holland having to work out a deal for him to appear. He's signed. He's got his contract. Right. I think it's more likely that if there's an issue, it's between Marvel and Sony, and that's probably, but let me throw this number out to you guys. Let's play a little over and under again. Spider-Man appearing, the likelihood that Spider-Man appears in the upcoming Avengers film, Avengers Infinity War, not the one after that, but the next one.
Appears at all?
Yeah, appears at all. 85%. Over or under 85% that Spider-Man appears in Avengers Infinity War.
Over.
Schnepp.
Yeah, way over. Because, I mean, even if he's in just one scene where they're like, hey, here's the new Avengers, and he's going to be one of the new Avengers. All they need him is for a day.
You'll piss too many people off.
And also, Sony would be the dumbest move for Sony to not have their character that they're rebranding in Homecoming to be in the biggest blockbuster, all IMAX. I mean, Avengers Infinity War is going to be a giant film. They want their character in that film.
Yeah, I think I think there is an issue, and I do think there's a problem going on right now. But like we all said at this table, there is far too much money to be made by both Sony and Marvel. There are far too many fans that'll be pissed off if they don't make it happen. I do believe there's a problem right now, but I also firmly believe they're going to solve it. I'm going to take the over on 85%.
You could have given me 99, I would have taken the over. 100%. He's going to be in Infinity War, and you get Schnepp's and I detailed breakdown at cosmicsoup.gov.
That's a new one that we're starting tomorrow.
You guys keep launching these new sites. I don't know how to keep up with you.
That one's already taken. By the way.
Oh, what? But I'd be really interested to know what you guys watching the show think. First of all, do you think there is an issue? If there's an issue, what do you think that issue is? And then what do you think the likelihood is that we do see Spider-Man pop up in Avengers Infinity War, the first film? I think we're all pretty much 100% locked that he at least appears in the second one,
It's
right?
going to be funny. I can't wait till
we're
we're walking out of that movie and we're arguing because he appeared in a post-credit scene. And we're wondering, did that really count as...
Right?
I think it counts.
I think it counts, but I think he's going to be in the movie and then probably a post-credit scene too.
All right, let's move on to the next topic.
All right, early tracking has arrived for Marvel Studios' second film of 2016, Doctor Strange. Per Deadline, the outlet reports that the movie will likely hit an opening weekend box office in the range of $55 million to $75 million, although anticipation is expected to grow as the film approaches its November 4th release date. As far as length, Joe Blow has uncovered the runtime for the year's final superhero movie, discovering that Doctor Strange comes in at 1 hour and 54 minutes. This according to the British Board of Film Classification. John, what do you think about the tracking, and do you think Doctor Strange can beat expectations?
Well, let's start with the runtime. Beautiful runtime. Like right at, I think that 2 hours. I think like for a property that a lot of the audience doesn't know, I think 215, 220 is a bit of a stretch. But how much there is to Doctor Strange, hour 30, hour 35, too short. I think they found that sweet spot. I think this is a really good runtime for this film. As far as do I think it'll hit expectations or exceed them, what they're saying between 55 and 75 million. A week ago, I would have said 75 sounds like a good target. 75 sounds like a really good target for a film like this. I expect it to have good legs. However, that was a week ago before I saw that damn 15-minute IMAX presentation. My expectations on this movie have changed radically. What I saw in that 15-minute thing was so far beyond what I was expecting. Because remember Derrickson came out and started talking about, we're putting visuals and things in this movie that no one's ever seen before. I was like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, director speak, promote the film. And then I saw that 15 minutes. I think what Disney is going to do is they're going to start rolling out advanced screenings here really quickly within 4 or 5 days of when the movie releases. I know the premiere is this Thursday night. I'm lucky enough that I'm going to be there, but I think once those audiences, they believe in this film, they're going to get audiences in front of this film. I think word of mouth is going to go crazy about it, and I see this thing exceeding $100 million. I see it, not 130, not 140, but I do see personally Doctor Strange beating $100 million. So I think it's going to beat expectations. What do you think, Kristian?
I think it's going to stick to expectations. I do think that it's going to, the word of mouth, what you're saying, I think people are going to wind up seeing these visuals, and if they're delivering, like I've heard so many people saying, I think that's what's going to continue it to do really well. Opening weekend, though, I still think it has the struggle of the fact that it's not a property that's well known in November, because I know right away people are running around and go, "Wait, Guardians!" August. I think in November, a 70 to 75 is going to be a big, huge number for a relatively, not to comic book fans, but to Doctor Strange for the regular movie-going audience doesn't know what it is yet. They will. This is going to be something. This movie's going to do really well, but I think around 75 is where I see it opening.
Schnepp, where do you think this is going to come in at?
I think it's going to kick over 100. I mean, for me, that it's opening in November is like Deadpool opening in February. To me, it's like it's one of those things that word of mouth, I think, will hit in the next week, where you'll see a lot of buildup, and it's not based on an internet kind of thing like how Deadpool did their like really cool marketing. I think Doctor Strange is going to be more of a word of mouth. Like, did you see that new Marvel film that's totally different? You got to check this out. So I think the visual aspect of it and the different aspect to it will break it over 100.
I guess one of the questions becomes, will that word of mouth get out in time for opening weekend, or will it be residual after that? How do you think it's going to do opening weekend?
I mean, far be it from me to counter what the Oracle just said, but I think it's going to be closer in what Kristian's thoughts are, is that I think it's going to be 75, 80, though I really don't put a lot of faith in box office tracking, period, and B, that it is this far out. Like, it's proven in the last couple of years that the box office tracking, it's a lot harder to do than it used to be. You see shockers all the time, whether it's Jurassic World or the last Fast and Furious movie, where they just aren't prepared for how much money is being made. I think it's going to be the same thing with Doctor Strange. I think you'll probably see it at around $80 million. A large part of that is because of the word of mouth, because it does come out overseas a week before it comes out here. So you're going to see a lot of critic reviews. And it's going up against Hacksaw Ridge and Trolls, which is interesting because Trolls is going to be a very family-oriented movie. Hacksaw Ridge could surprise people with how much money that movie makes, even though it feels more of like an Oscar movie. I think that's going to have a broad general appeal too. So it has some competition, but I think Doctor Strange, it's Marvel. It looks great. I think the reviews are going to be spectacular. I'm looking at about 80 million.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you think that one of the, like when Guardians of the Galaxy, which had a similar problem, average film going, audiences don't really recognize it, but the advertising was a very straightforward thing. This is a space adventure movie with action and aliens and fighting. Could Doctor Strange suffer a little bit from, because as much as I love the previews and everything, to the average film goer, could it look a little too trippy for some people? Like, because this is a really out there kind of thing. Schnepp, do you think there's a chance that could hurt it a little bit opening weekend?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, I'm basing 100 on like good reviews.
Right.
Like if the reviews, like if they're like 70% good but 30% people will be like, I felt a little lost, or I didn't know what was going on, or it was too trippy or too weird, that might hurt the general movie going audience to be like, maybe I'll wait a week, or I'll wait for more people to see it. So that could affect the opening box office.
And I think you see them trying to market it as much like Guardians as they possibly can, because you're seeing a lot of humor from Doctor Strange, which we weren't necessarily expecting in the in the promos, because Guardians of the Galaxy, it's something that people weren't aware of it. It was probably on the same level as Doctor Strange as far as like fan awareness, but that movie looks so fun. It looked like a Star Wars. Doctor Strange does not have that, so they're trying to show that, hey, this movie's got a lot of cool, trippy effects, but it also has a sense of humor that you've come to expect from Marvel.
All right, what's next?
A new Red Band trailer has been released for the Autopsy of Jane Doe. Directed by Andre Overdahl, the movie tells the story of a father and son mortician team who are tasked with finding the cause of death for a seemingly untouched and unidentified woman. The film stars Brian Cox and Emile Hirsch and opens in theaters on December 21st, 2016. Schnepp, what do you think about the new Red Band trailer for the Autopsy of Jane Doe?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's creepy. I can't wait to see this movie. Anytime you see a fly crawling out of somebody's nose, there's going to be some trouble. And I would have long been busted out of there. Like the minute that happened, I'm out. Even if I was a mortician or working in the morgue, you got issues already. You're like, I like to play with dead bodies. Everybody has to do it. I'm not taking it away from your job if you're a mortician, but if you saw some stuff crawling out of a dead body, you'd get out of there. I think instantly. This is not worth it, you know?
Yeah, I knew very, very little. I mean, I heard it played at TIFF, at Toronto International Film Festival, got great reviews, as smaller, films like this sometimes tend to do. I had not seen anything from the film, though. I loved this trailer. I thought it felt creepy and eerie, and sign me up for anything Brian Cox appears in. I love that dude. He sells me on everything he's in. And it just did that. And so the job of a trailer is to get me really interested and salivating a bit to see the film. This one did it. I'm in for. So yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, like you guys know, I'm not like the biggest horror guy, but the reason I'm really excited about this particular trailer is because it's keeping with the trend. Putting really good actors with you got Brian Cox, Emile Hirsch.
Yeah.
5 years ago, this is some random dude who can't get a line out. It's so I really like the way that they're going with it. I think that James Wan really started a kind of a trend here with Conjuring 2. They do it with Let Me In. They've done it with all these different movies now. And this is another one. It looks, like Schnepp said, it looks very kind of strange, creepy. It's interesting that it's coming out at the end of December and it didn't hit that January release. It'll carry into January, which maybe they'll get some additional January views. But for the most part, the fact that it's releasing in December, yeah, it looked pretty interesting and creepy.
Brian Cox, Emile Hirsch, and I gotta say, the girl who plays the corpse was awesome in the trailer.
She was good. She's good.
What do you think about it?
To quote the horse from Ren and Stimpy, no, sir, I didn't like it. I did not care for this trailer all that much, and it's probably because I saw another trailer previous to this one that I loved. So I'm locked into this movie. I want to see the film, don't get me wrong. I just thought this trailer didn't do a great job of selling us on exactly what it was. They had a lot of classic horror tropes. They had the fly coming out of the nose. You saw some blood. You saw some creepy looking stuff. It just didn't add up to anything that I would really care about seeing from a story perspective. But the other trailer I saw for this movie did do that. So I want to see the movie. This particular trailer, didn't like it.
All right, what's next?
It's Monday, which means it's time for the weekend box office report brought to you by our friends at AMC Theaters. Warner Brothers' The Accountant blasted weekend forecasts away, finishing at number 1 with $24.7 million. Kevin Hart, What Now, took the number 2 spot with $11.98 million, which is the largest opening ever for a stand-up comedy film. Just under that total was number 3's The Girl on the Train, pulling in $11.97 million for a domestic total of $46.6 million. In the number 4 spot was Tim Burton's Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, taking in $8.9 million for a $65.8 domestic total. And at number 5 was Mark Wahlberg's Deepwater Horizon, pulling in $6.4 million for a domestic cume just below $50 million. Kristian, what do you think about The Accountant's performance at the box office?
I would have liked to seen it done better. 25 is not. It's the same conversation we had last week. 25 for opening this time in October. I'm sure it's fine. You know, it'll do similar to what Girl on the Train and Miss Peregrine's doing, kind of tapping on, because the smaller releases that are coming out are not like in these big blockbusters until, I guess, well, actually, no, it's going to get hit over the head pretty soon with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But up until that point, kind of tack on some. I just think it's a lot better than some of the critics were giving it credit for, and I would have liked to seen it do at least 35 or 40, but, you know, take 25. The one that surprises me the most is What Now? To make $12 million on a stand-up comedy concert film, I think that's pretty damn good. Personally, for me, opening up at number 2. Those are the rest of them. Doesn't surprise me. They're doing exactly what I thought, just kind of peppering in.
Mark.
Well, Kevin Hart and I are not in the same stratosphere as far as talent goes, as far as ability right now, but my God, that makes me happy to see a stand-up comedy movie make $12 million. That's the only one I want to talk about, because I'm really curious for everybody out there who saw it. Did you see it because you knew it was a Kevin Hart stand-up comedy movie? Because they weren't really marketing it like, oh, this is Kevin Hart's, you know, he sold out a stadium in Philadelphia. They were selling it as like it was almost a movie with a lot of like comedy sketches, like Halle Berry was in it, and you didn't see a lot of stand-up in the ads. So I wonder if people got what they were expecting with What Now, but I am thrilled to death to see that movie do that well. I didn't get a chance to check it out yet. I really want to see it this week. And The Accountant, I think, did about what we expected it to do. It only cost $45-50 million to make, so it'll make its budget back. And yeah, I'm shocked, and I'm very happy about the Kevin Hart movie.
Schnepp.
Well, I just started a new website, infinitycosmicseaorg .sphere. So if you go to that, you'll see my review on Max Steel, which that movie my
crushed.
news for. It crushed it, coming in 13th place with literally almost $2 million. I think something like that. It beat Gem and the Hologram, so I want to give it a special honor.
Props for that.
Props to that. Being able to
fart
get a
that
little
movie
flavor over that. But that's the one that surprised me, because we were all kind of half joking about it, like, yeah, that movie's going to tank, that movie's going to bomb, but didn't think it was going to bomb that hard.
2.1 million. No,
2.1,
I
yeah.
didn't see that happening either.
No.
Not that low.
And with so many theaters, and even the subtle promotion and how they were trying to tie it in a little with the Guyver and Power Rangers, and I just don't think anyone cares about it. So,
look, I got to say, I'm disappointed in the results for The Accountant. It is around where we expect. We expected $25 million. You know what? On a $44 million budget, opening weekend, it's going to do fine. So it's going to make its money back. It's going to be a profitable film for Warner Brothers. The fault lies in the marketing. It wasn't a brilliantly marketed film, because this movie was so much better than I was expecting it. I went back and watched it again, and I took Anne with me, and Anne loved it. You know, like ever since then, Anne's like, put the toilet seat down, or I'm going to call The Accountant. Anyway, so there's that sort of stuff. But I mean, I thought I saw it a second time, and I liked it even more the second time. Do yourself a favor, get out and see The Accountant. Totally worth it. Kevin Hart, you're right. $12 million for a stand-up comedy movie, really nicely done. It exceeded its budget of $10 million, which is probably the rental of the stadium in the first place. There wasn't a lot of production value going to that. And Max Steel, we knew Max Steel was going to bomb, but I expected it to bomb with like $7 million.
Right.
Like 2.1. That is one that puts it in the category of one of the worst. Why this thing opened in over 2,000 theaters.
That means a lot of people are getting fired, is what that means.
There's a lot of people getting, probably has a kind of questionable job security today at that point. So, keep your eyes open. All right, folks, we reached that part of the show now for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
On Friday came the surprising News that Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them wasn't just the start of a new trilogy, but the first in what will become a 5-film series. During the fan event for the movie that took place in London, J.K. Rowling talked about the future of the franchise and mentioned a certain Hogwarts professor who could be a big part of it. From BBC News, director David Yates then seemed to confirm that the character will indeed appear in the first film, saying, "We can't tell you too because we'd have to kill you all, but we do mention Dumbledore, and he features in a wonderful scene between Colin Farrell and Eddie Redmayne. Grindelwald does feature in the background and is going to become a much more prominent feature moving forward." John Byer saw the addition of Hogwarts professors in Fantastic Beasts.
Completely buy it. Completely buy it. First of all, the previews for this film have got me a lot more than I thought they would. I mean, when they first announced this film, I was like, well, that makes sense. I mean, it makes business sense to do it. I'm not really looking forward to it, but it makes business sense. I think the trailers have been fantastic. I absolutely cannot wait to see this film. But one of the things I think they needed to do was not just, because we noticed in the second trailer, they included that Harry Potter music. Dun, 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 and everybody went crazy about that. I know we saw Wendy was sitting there when that music started playing. She started going crazy. Anne went crazy. They needed a grounding anchor to connect it, though, tangibly to the original films. And I think including a character like Dumbledore makes the most sense because he's the right age. It wouldn't feel forced at all because of his standing in the wizarding community. It feels like the right character to hinge that on. Now, talking about the other characters that could move in with some of the conflicts that we learned about in the other Potter films and have those play out bigger, that sounds cool too. As far as the 5-film plan, I'm sure when they first greenlit Max Steel, they thought that would be a trilogy. I'm sure they were planning franchise for that as well, just like they were planning franchise for Aragon the Dragon movie, just like they were planning franchise for a lot of films. Let's wait to see how it does. I think this is going to do pretty well from what we've seen so far. So for me, it's a big buy. Kristian, what about you?
Oh, it's a huge buy. You have to. It'd be. I mean, you have to. It would be a huge mistake if they did not put Gandalf or Gandalf. See, I read it in the comments of Gandalf. Dumbledore. Put Gandalf in there. Oh, Harry Potter. I think that it links it all together. And it's even whatever you want to say about the Star Wars prequels. It was great to see Yoda and a young Obi-Wan because that's kind of what linked it all. It's like, oh yeah, absolutely. To see and be like you're saying, John, he's the right age, Dumbledore, to make this all work and to see because the question is going to be like, where is he? Where's Dumbledore? How come he's not getting involved in any of this stuff? And to see where he is at that point, what is his status? That's very intriguing to me. I want to learn all these new characters. I want the world to get bigger, but I also want it to get a little smaller so I can see some of the people that I've met in the previous movies.
Schnepp?
Yeah, that makes total sense to me too. I mean, I think them setting up J.K. Rowling and probably that was like, yeah, let's get 5 movies because they want to. It's an incredible franchise. So when they start one, it's not a trilogy. I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't going to be like 7 or 8 of them. They're saying we're going to do 5, but they got to have some spin-offs and whatnot. They're doubling down by getting
doubling
Dumbledore.
Down. I love it
because they're like, look, it's like you said with like securing a Yoda or a Chewbacca from those original prequels. This is in that same sense. Like, look, we're from the same universe. These are some of those characters that you saw in the future because we're going into the past. I think it's a great idea. It makes me more excited. And I agree with you. The last trailer really got me. It was like the Untouchables with wands. I was like, I cannot wait to see this
love that
movie.
Analogy.
Yeah,
It was gangsters except instead of Tommy guns. I'm just gonna perform magic on
walking
you.
down the alley with a wand. Where'd they go? That's scary.
I mean, I'll buy this too for the obvious reasons. It's so great having connective tissue from something not only was beloved but also was very profitable. So you put that 70 years prior, you can have a lot of movies coming out of this. I am surprised nobody else is that upset that it got mentioned though. Like, why would David Yates say this? And is he just trying to sell us on going to see the movie?
Smart. I think it's real smart.
I thought it would have been cool to be like surprised because Dumbledore's in one scene apparently. So I'd like to be sitting in the movie and then be like, oh sweet, Dumbledore. Like Star Wars, they were selling you on the fact that Yoda was in it because Yoda was going to have a big role in teaching Anakin. But here it's like it would have been cool to be surprised. I didn't want to know that Dumbledore was in it. It was kind of fun to speculate and then walk in and say I don't know if we're going to see him or not. Then it would have been a nice treat.
I think he's just guaranteeing you that it links together. Because this is not the only time you're ever going to see Dumbledore. He'll pop up again in the other movies for sure. It's just a matter of him saying, don't worry, everybody. This is not just some standalone thing where you're going to be like, it doesn't feel like Harry Potter at all. It will, and I think that's what he's confirmed.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. I think while it would have been a nice surprise to see him pop up, I think you're absolutely right, Kristian. Dropping the name of Dumbledore is going to get the fan base even more excited about it and get them revved up, and there are marketing realities. All right, what's next?
Zack Snyder's Justice League will mark the continuation of the DC extended universe that began with Man of Steel and grew with Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. And though the Cape Crusader ended up being played by Ben Affleck, at one point Snyder had someone else in mind to take on the role. While promoting his new film Desierto, actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan revealed to Cinema Blend that while he was on the Watchmen press tour, Zack Snyder told him his dream was to do the Frank Miller Batman, teasing a Flashpoint storyline. Adding fuel to the fire, Morgan said, "Maybe when he cast me, that was kind of the goal. Hopefully DC can figure this all out, and in a few years, I can come back and do a Flashpoint Batman. I would love it. That would be great. I have not had any big discussions with him about Flashpoint." Schnepp, buy or sell a future Flashpoint storyline involving Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Batman?
Sure, why not? I mean, 10 years from now, you can do the Dark Knight Returns. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Snyder kind of extracted a lot of elements from the Dark Knight Returns and then used them in Batman v Superman. So it feels like that's been kind of played, that move. But if they were going to do a Flashpoint thing, I think he's a great choice to play that version of Batman.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen, but I buy that was probably in the back of their heads. I've often wondered, why do you get an actor with the stature and talent of Jeffrey Dean Morgan just to pop up for 15 seconds and say Martha? Mm-hmm. I mean, like, why? And to me, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he'll always be John Winchester to me, for those Supernatural fans out there. I love that show so much. So I do believe that was probably part of the goal, that if we ever wanted to go into Flashpoint, the senior Wayne, he's actually Batman in Flashpoint. That would make perfect sense. I don't know if they'll actually go there, but I'm going to buy it.
I would buy it if they did. I don't think it's going to happen, but I mean, it's an interesting premise. But to hear him, the fact that he's still kind of in the family and that they were using him and considering him was a cool story.
Yeah, I think it was smart to open the door for it. I would sell that this is going to happen in the current DC universe, but it's there. I mean, like the Flash did a lot of flashy kind of stuff in Batman v Superman, where you can look at, like a time travel element or Suicide Squad or whatever you want to, say that he's able to do. So you could have that storyline factor in. It would be really interesting if we could go to a parallel universe and see this movie happen, because I think that's the only way that we would have it. I mean, right. I think that you're leaving the door open. I just don't see it going that way.
I agree. All right, what's next?
It looks like Transformers: The Last Night will bring back a couple of familiar names. Director Michael Bay has confirmed that John Turturro and John Goodman are both set to return to the franchise. Bay spilled the Transformers 5 updates in a Facebook Live video marking the last day of shooting in the UK. The clip shows him in front of many extras dressed as medieval warriors, where he simply mentions them while rattling off a list of cast members. Turturro played Agent Simmons in the first 3 Transformers films, while Goodman voiced Hound in the 4th Transformers film. Transformers: The Last Night opens on June 23, 2017. Kristian, buy or sell John Turturro and John Goodman in Transformers: The Last Night?
This movie, this looks like it is going to stink up a storm.
I don't understand what you're talking about, Kristian.
I sell it. I mean, it's like, do I like Turturro and Goodman? Of course I do. But you look at Goodman and like Kong Skull Island, and it's like, yeah, okay, great. I'm excited to see him then. It's like, no, don't put him in this. And that's Turturro, who I'm a big fan of. Was just which one was he in? The second one?
He's in a couple.
He's in a couple.
It made my ears bleed. Every one that he was in, it's so dope. Like the dopey comedy, it just oozed out of him. The Bay dopey comedy, and it was Bay's fault, not his. He did what he was told to do, but it was just this over the top. And Stanley Tucci, he ruins also. No, this is what was that meeting for? With Stephen DeKnight and all. What was that for? That they're going to do the same thing? Screw this movie.
Sell.
Sell. I usually like humans, but down with humans in Transformers movies. Just give me the robots.
Yeah, I sell this so hard, man. This is literally like, what was that meeting about where they wasted all these people's time? We built this entire universe. Yeah, just throw that away and let's do another garbage film. So
it feels like they brought in all these writers and everybody come up with their best idea. Surprise, we're going to use all of them in the same movie. Right. So you want Merlin? Got it. You want World War II? Yeah. Got it. Everything's going to be in there.
They came up with great ideas. Bay said, thanks for your time. Hey, I'm going to put Turturro in it and do the same thing I've done for the last 4. Thanks for the wasted money. Dope.
All right, what's next?
Variety reports that Pan's screenwriter Jason Fuchs will pen the latest draft of Warner Brothers' upcoming adaptation of the popular video game Minecraft. Fuchs is currently working with director Rob McElhenney on developing the latest script after McElhenney wrote the first draft. The game, which debuted in 2009, allows players to create their own avatars and build an environment using cubes in a 3D world as they battle nocturnal monsters. The movie is set for release on May 25, 2019. John Byers Jason Fuchs writing a draft of the Minecraft adaptation.
You know, sometimes I've defended moderately the whole concept of the Minecraft movie because, again, look, it's not the concept, it's what story do they bring to it and what do they make out of it. Because Legos, I mean, how do you make a movie out of Legos? But they brought a great story to it and they made it happen. So I've been open-minded about the Minecraft thing, but I sell this hard. I mean, like, Pan could have been something really cool, and it was bad. And part of the problem was the screenplay. Ice Age Continental Drift was bad all the way around. So I don't see, look, that's not to say this will be bad, and it's not to say that he's not capable of doing better, or if he's not capable of doing something great. He certainly is. But it doesn't fill me as a film goer with a lot of confidence hearing that the screenwriter for Ice Age Continental Drift and Pan is going to be writing the thing for Minecraft. So for me, it's a sell.
I wish this guy was a jerk.
Because he's really a nice guy.
He's such a nice guy, and he's funny, and he's got so much creativity. But I sell it. It's like we talk about it all the time. We're in a "What have you done for me lately" town, and he hasn't given us really anything to be excited about. I'll be honest, when I heard that he wrote a draft of Wonder Woman, it made me nervous. So yeah, I just don't think he's the guy to do this right now. He's got to do something else. So I'm gonna sell it.
Schnepp.
Guys, come on, it's Minecraft, you know? It's about building little caves and stuff, right? And little digital 8-bit friends. I think it's going to make $1 billion, and he could write this thing in a weekend, you know? It'd be like, little Tommy builds a cave. His father builds another cave. They get sucked into it like Land of the Lost. Look at me, I'm a digital creature. Whatever. I'm selling it.
Mark?
I got to sell it too. I mean, I'm not that concerned about it because I don't care about Minecraft. I didn't see Pan, and I definitely will never see it after hearing you guys talk about it. But, I think the guy's got a lot of talent. I think that they're not handing the keys to the kingdom over to him. He's doing a draft of a script for Warner Brothers, so it can be a collective of ideas and not all on his shoulders. But I just sell it because I don't really care about Minecraft, and I hear Pan is horrible, so I can't buy it.
All right, guys, well, listen, we do this show live every day, Monday through Friday, and we're going to save a little bit of time at the end of the show to take some of your live Twitter questions for those of you watching us live. How do you get a question to us? It's simple. Make sure you get on Twitter and you're following us at Collider Video. Start firing in your questions now, and Wendy will pick out a couple to use at the end of the show. I also want to remind you that Movie Talk is not the only show on Collider Video today. A little bit later today at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, TV Talk drops, so make sure you come back and check that out. And also, at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I believe, the press conference for the Movie Trivia Schmodown Tournament Final between John Roca and Mark Baby Carrots Ellis. That'll go online. You're going to want to make sure to come back and check out that press conference. Once again, we're aiming to have that up at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right, guys, we've reached that part of the show now for Mailbag. Look, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, just email us anytime at collidervideo@gmail.com. So, Ashley, what have we got in the mailbag?
John Zenos writes, just watched the 1991 movie City Slickers, and it got me thinking that, to quote the old cliche, they don't make them like that anymore. By that I mean comedies that don't depend on vulgarity or raunch, nor are specifically kids' movies. These are comedies that you can watch with the whole family and enjoy equally. Other examples are Mrs. Doubtfire, Sister Act, and Three Men and a Baby. I can't think of any such movies in the last 15 years. Maybe animated movies fill that void to a certain extent by being made for kids, but with enough appeal for adults. However, I am referring to comedies made for older people, but with enough appeal for kids. Thoughts?
You know, it's funny. It was just a couple years ago that we would be having these discussions that, hey, you can make an R-rated comedy and it can be profitable. And because a lot of times the studios, there was a long period of time where the studios felt hesitant about making R-rated comedy. Then comes the era of Superbad and 40-Year-Old Virgin. And now this year, the pendulum has completely swung the other way. Whether you're talking about Neighbors 2, Bad Moms, Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, Dirty Grandpa, Sausage Party, and all these things. Now, you do get some more family-friendly ones, the most recent Ghostbusters. That's one. I believe Central Intelligence was PG-13. So there's that one per se.
There are a lot of raunchy jokes in that one.
But there are raunchy jokes. They've gone completely the other way. Now it feels like we spent so much time telling everybody you can make an R-rated comedy movie. I feel like it's gone the other way where you can tell them you don't have to make a comedy rated R. You can make good, funny comedies like some of the greatest ones of all times that weren't rated R. There has to be some kind of balance. It kind of reminds me of the thing when I mentioned this on Facebook the other day was I felt like for 10 years our job on movie blogging was convincing moviegoers comic book movies can be good. You should go check out comic book movies. But the last year or two, I feel like our job has gone the other way, telling people you can go see movies that aren't comic book movies. There are great movies out there. Go check those out too. Yeah, I would like to see it balance out. I think there's room to have a good balance of family-friendly comedies. Some of the greatest comedies of all time are that, and good raunchy R-rated comedies for adults. I just think they need to find that balance. Mark, as somebody who walks that line every day, what do you think about this?
I walk that line every day, kids. It's tough to make a holiday movie, too, that isn't raunchy.
Yeah,
we got the Bad Santas coming out the night before, Office Christmas Party. The most recent one, the first one that popped in my head was School of Rock. But that was all of a sudden over 10 years ago is when that movie came out. Elf. All of a sudden, that was over a decade. So you're right. It is something where it's like it was so fun to go see The Hangover and go see Knocked Up and things like that. And all of a sudden, you're like, wait a minute. Wait, does every movie have to be this raunchy? Can't we have some sort of level playing field? I agree. It's a great question. We should get more City Slickers types movies.
It can be done. I mean, you guys are right. It's absolutely going in that way. But a movie that I think it kind of slayed a little more towards drama, but still was pitched as a comedy, and I didn't hate it, was The Intern. The Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway movie.
Yeah, it wasn't really pitched as a...
It wasn't pitched as like... But it's a comedy.
Yeah.
And that movie is a lot better than it should have been. And it's definitely not raunchy at all. It actually got a nice feel-good message to it. So... But yes, most of the times they're going down these rated R. It's just the way it is right now. It'll switch over, and there'll be more in the next 5-10 years.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the adult comedies are going to be around for quite a while because that's where the money is. And so, as we saw that uptick of more and more R-rated comedy films that would break 100 million, that's why even more got greenlit. So you're kind of in that position now where it's like kid films or family films are going to be PG, probably won't even be PG-13, and then all the rest of them are going to be R. That's just monetary. So you're right. Until a couple of movies that are back to PG-13 make that 100 million,
And remember also, the comedy star is different. Like drama, it's different. You can put a capable actor in there in the role. The comedy star really dictates. Like someone like a Robin Williams could do those types of movies.
Yeah,
and right now, our comedy stars are the raunchy stars. That's who we have in
Jim
comedy
Carrey
right
was
now.
doing like Bruce Almighty,
Right.
and then like the Yes Man didn't make as much money. And Eddie Murphy did Haunted Mansion and didn't do that well. So it's like those guys that we used to rely on for that.
Mike Myers.
Yeah, so now it's more of a collective. And a lot of that was, Apatow came in with a different sense of humor with different guys. There was a lot of drug humor, which I think is hysterical. But there is some, what's interesting though is that the Christopher Guest movies, he just had a new one come out on Netflix, Mascots.
Yes.
I watched it over the weekend. It's hysterical. There's some raunch to it, but it's I think you could watch it with your family.
But I think we can all agree, probably the best comedy of the last 10 years is very family friendly. Speaking of Jim Carrey, the incredible Burt Wonderstone. Make sure you watch that.
Boo.
All right.
I was gonna mention though, Night at the Museum. They did 3 of those.
Yeah.
And the most recent one was a couple years ago, and that wasn't rated R. But that's once again falls more into that comedy, but family comedy. So.
All right. What's next?
Zachary Shelton writes, "Hey Collider crew, I enjoy watching your videos. They are a good stress relief. So I just watched Robin
Stress
Hood Prince of
causers for us.
Thieves for the first time yesterday, and I enjoyed it. My question is, what is your favorite theatrical version of Robin Hood? My favorite version is Mel Brooks' Robin Hood, Men in Tights. Thanks for listening and keep up the good work."
I'm actually one of the few people. I really like Prince of Thieves. I really did.
I'm one of the few people. It's one of the great movies of all time.
Oh, well, maybe I'm not as alone as I thought.
It's great.
You're alone. but not in this conversation. Just in general.
I really like Prince of Thieves, despite the wavering accent coming in and out. And
Who cares? It's a great movie. Yeah, Kevin Costner does have a great accent, okay? It's a fantastic movie, start to finish. And the score by, I think, Michael Kamen, it's one of the best soundtracks of all time.
And, the villain, the Sheriff of Nottingham, in that, played by Alan
Rickman.
Played by Alan Rickman, I think rivals his Die Hard. It rivals his Die Hard villain, Hans Gruber. I think the Sheriff of Nottingham rivals that. He's got better one-liners as a villain in Robin Hood than he does in Die Hard.
Well, you wouldn't go that far, but
Oh, come on. You, my room, 7:30. You, 8 o'clock, and bring a friend. Come
cut
on.
his heart out with a spoon.
Why a spoon, cousin?
It's dull, you idiot. It'll hurt more.
Yeah, so that worst one for me, though, the worst one is the Ridley Scott one. That was so bad.
You guys are adorable, but it's all about the fox and the bear. The Disney Robin Hood is absolutely the best
Robin Hood,
Hood.
Little John,
it's a pretty good
Robin
Robin.
Hood
It's a
Forest.
great
I
Robin.
love that movie.
I love that movie. I watched it recently. It's a great one. So that's my choice.
My favorite is John Cleese in Time Bandits playing Robin Hood.
that's
He's
nice.
like, have you met the poor? They're the poor. That's just that little 20-minute section is my favorite Robin Hood.
I assume you're going to go with Prince of Thieves.
Oh, Prince of Thieves all day, baby. Christian Slater, Morgan Freeman. It's a great movie. Watch it. I will give a shout out to Men in Tights, though, because it's a very early performance by Mr. Dave Chappelle.
And a theme song done by Canadian rocker Bryan Adams.
Adams,
All right, guys, I said we'd save some time for your mailbag or your Twitter questions, and we're going to do that right now. You guys have been sending them in. So, Wendy, what have you picked out?
Star-Lord Jack says, where is the next Assassin's Creed trailer? The movie comes out in December.
Actually, you know what? Usually when people are asking about where's this trailer, blah, blah, we're always saying, calm down. Nah, where is the next trailer?
Right.
It's actually about time. Like, shouldn't another one come out by now?
If we did a weekly Assassin's Creed thing, the way we do a Jedi Council, we'd be like, where is the trailer? Where is the trailer? It's true. Like, the guy's right. I don't know where the hell it is.
Well, the latest thing I saw is a little behind the scenes thing where they were like, we're not using CG to make that super jump. It's actually a real guy. So they released that. That was like a couple weeks ago.
That's
It's not
cool.
a trailer, though.
The middle of October. Movie comes out December 21st. I think we'll see one in the next couple of weeks. Will you guys say by the end of October we'll see?
I hope so.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, I think we'll get one before, like, when they release Doctor Strange. It would make sense for them to have that running before.
Now, that first trailer, well, I liked the first trailer. I know the first trailer got some mixed reaction from people. Maybe that made them rethink their marketing strategy. So maybe they're reassembling new trailer now.
Maybe
but
they're
it's
just
gotta come
reshooting
soon.
the movie. It's
Maybe
just
the
a-
whole
Hey,
thing. It's
sorry,
just-
guys. It's really bugging me now. What was the Bryan Adams song? Was it Everything
I
I Do?
I do it for you.
Was that the one?
That's
All
the
right.
one.
Yeah. That was going
Damn
in my head,
right,
but I was
that's
like,
the one.
I wasn't 100% sure.
It's a great song. It was it was like when that song came on at a school dance. It's like, get ready for 6 minutes of bliss.
Yeah.
Sweaty Ellis.
Baby carrots getting fresh.
Okay, what's next?
It says, what non-mainstream comic, aka not Marvel or DC, would you like to see adapted into a movie?
Why the Last Man?
Yeah, Why the Last Man is one they've been talking about for a long time. Shia LaBeouf was actually, and his director in Eagle Eye. Who was his director in Eagle Eye? I forget the director's name. If somebody wants to look that up. But they were both attached for a long time. Now they're talking about it maybe being a television series at some point. But Why the Last Man would be a great one.
I want to say DJ Caruso, but that's
That is
correct.
correct. Yes,
okay.
correct, sir.
Give him a point.
For 2 points.
It was DJ Caruso. Oh, sorry.
Excellent. I knew Christian would come through.
John, I'm on cosmicsoup.gov, and it says DJ Caruso.
I like that place. They do some good work. I would go with I'd say Saga if we're gonna stick with Brian K.
Oh,
Vaughan.
Saga's so good.
It's pretty fantastic. I was also gonna say I got a spotlight one. I'll just throw it. Jupiter's Legacy is another one that I think a lot of people don't know about yet, but they're gonna. So
I would go with, if we're just going non-DC Marvel movies, I loved a lot of those Image comics growing up. Something like Shadowhawk would be a cool story. Youngblood would be a great one to tell, too.
All right, what's next?
TJ Miller says, behind the scene question, what kind of microphones do you guys use? The quality of Schnepp's vocal are smooth molasses.
ooh,
Yes,
baby.
we use the Rode. What do we use? The Procaster. There's another version of it called the Podcaster, the Rode Podcaster, which is a USB microphone. This is an XLR one based, and it's called the Procaster. I love these mics. I rub them over my body nightly. I love them that much. All right,
Wait, is that true? I think I'll just talk.
you know it's true. You caught me once. All right, what's next?
Steve Stark says, as reviewers yourself, what reviewer do you watch and trust? And then he says, go watch Chris Stuckman, Max Steel review.
I love the guy from the Boston Globe, and now I'm forgetting his name. I think it's Ty. I always mess it up. Anyway, Ty Burr is who I like reading.
I go to Kristian Harloff for all my movie reviews. I also like Claudia Pugh from USA Today. She's really good.
Yeah. I go to Mark Ellis.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. to see which one I'm going to go radically against.
Luigi 2, it's coming out tonight.
God, how did you like that first movie?
It's scary.
No, it's not.
You guys have any Chris you like checking on?
I like checking in Garth Franklin from Dark Horizons.
Oh yeah, he's
Australian
been doing it.
dude. He's
Dark
been doing it
Horizons
forever.
is one of these sites that have been around forever. He's been doing it,
and he's got
really
good
long time.
taste. I mean, that was one of my old school sites that I would check, and I still check it.
Yeah, this is not a joke, and I'm serious. Like someone who does videos that I do listen to their opinion because I happen to think their opinion on film is really good. JTE. It's not a laugh.
Yeah.
That is not a laugh. His tastes are very in sync with mine. I think that he really knows his stuff when he's not talking. Like when it's like, but like when you
like his reviews when he's not talking.
I can read what he said. No. When I'm having conversations with him about, he really gets. He's in tune. You should check his reviews out.
I
They're
love
really
when he
good.
talks about Short Run.
Well, listen, he gets names wrong sometimes, but he might not know who in the movies.
Tricephalus paratops.
Right, but he gets the tone.
He does.
the tone.
You know what? He's a regular around here now. But Jeremy Johns is really You know, this is the funny thing about Jeremy that I noticed is that he's funny and entertaining, but when you take the laughs out of it, he's actually got some really good insight.
yeah.
He raises some really good stuff. So you might want to check out Jeremy Johns. All right, let's take 2 more.
All right, this one comes from Andre, who says, what do you think about people in theater talking during the previews before a movie? I'll admit, I do it all the time, often.
You know what? I'll admit it annoys me a little bit, but to me that's fair game. Until the movie starts, it's fair game. If you're really into the trailer, you can go watch it at home. I don't talk during trailers. Most people I know don't talk during trailers, but honestly, I think it's fair game. I'd much rather them get it out of their system during the trailers than when the movie starts, so I'm okay with it.
I let it go, but it saddens me. Like when people should be at that point, like during like the sprint ads and all this stuff. Talk your faces off. It's okay, but as the trailers start to happen, it's like you want them to be quiet. I don't say anything, but the cell phones flash up during the movie. They start yippy yap. Then I'm saying something.
Yeah, just shut up. Just shut up. What are you talking about that's so important? You scheduling a babysitter? Do you have some sort of medical condition and it necessitates you talking to your friends? Your friends don't care what you have to say. Shut up and watch the trailer. They're good.
Yeah. Coming for you, Roka.
I mean, people talking during trailers, it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers me when people talk during the movies. But I would like to just enjoy the trailers in the quiet world of the cinema.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It does. I don't like I don't go off on anybody if they're talking during trailers. But
you can't yell at somebody during a trailer, like if a Rogue One trailer comes on, because by the time I'm done yelling at them, the trailer's over.
And you would have missed the whole trailer,
Yeah.
so you just have to ignore them. But if they start talking during the movie, then it's.
What about you guys? You guys having like what are your thoughts on people who talk during trailers? Wendy, what about you?
Real life, last night I went to see The Accountant again with Dustin, and there's a guy that walked in looking very important on his phone, like a business deal on a Sunday evening or something like that. And what I got in the 15 minutes that we were watching trailers the entire time was, this simply won't do. I will never say no to this, and you're an idiot. That's what he kept on repeating, and then I was like, taken out of what I was trying to watch during the trailers because I was so focused in on his conversation. I was like, what's going on back here, and why can't you take this outside?
He was on the phone?
Yeah, not during the movie, but during the preview.
That would bother even me.
Yeah,
Like,
you
get off the phone.
You grab the phone and you throw it. That's what you do.
I wish I did that.
Yeah.
What about you, Ashley?
I feel terrible saying this. I have to talk during previews because I get so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait for this. Like, I'm so excited for this. Are you excited for this? But it's not like I'm trying to have like a side conversation about something that has nothing to do with the movie. It's just excitement for the movies that I'm seeing.
Ashley, I think that's totally acceptable and totally cool. It doesn't bother me when people are excited about trailers or like yelling or happy about stuff. It's when they're in their own conversation that's messed
Fine.
up.
I'll give that a pass, but you're on thin ice.
That's it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
All right, guys, we've run out of time. That'll do it for us for this installment of Collide Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, don't forget, the most important part of our show is not what we have to say, it's what you have to say. Jump into the comments section, leave your thoughts on all the topics that we discussed here today. Make sure you share this video, share it on Facebook or on Twitter, and make sure you click the thumbs up button. That gives us kind of an indication that you like what we're doing. I want to thank the people sitting at the table with me. First of all, way over there, Mr. Kristian Harloff. Kristian, where can people find you online?
Well, on Twitter and Instagram at Kristian Harloff. And like John mentioned before, the press conference goes up 2 p.m. PST between Baby Carrots and Roka. You know it's going to be pretty nuts, so tune in.
Right here, Mr. Jon Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp, and definitely check out Stanley's LA Comic Con. It is used to be called Kamikaze, now it's called Stanley's LA Comic Con. All of us will be there. We all have panels. We've got a whole bunch of cool stuff going on, so definitely check it out. It's October 28th, 29th, and 30th.
Mr. Mark Ellis.
Huge thank you to all the fans that were in Denver this weekend. You guys are great. You can find me online at Mark Ellis Live. And this Friday, me versus Woody the cowboy from Toy Story in the Schmodown. It's going to be fun and an easy W for this guy.
Ashley Mova, where can people find you?
Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, at Ashley Mova. Happy Monday, guys.
And Wendy Lee.
You can find me on YouTube at the Movie Couples channel, and also on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney.
You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter simply at Jon Campea. Make sure you subscribe to Comic Con HQ, where Jon Schnepp and I have our weekly Saturday show, Film HQ. You're going to want to check that out. And special thanks to all the guys in the room as well. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name's Jon Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.